So Kevin, you recommended The Devil's Candy.
I did. I recommended The Devil's Candy.
It was a movie I'd never heard of.
A movie no one's ever heard of.
I just kept hearing about it, and then I saw that it was on Netflix, and I heard it was good.
Which it is no longer on Netflix.
No, it is not.
I had to rent it, you piece of shit.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rent
For
it
real?
too.
Yeah.
So at the time it was on Netflix, and it was on my queue for like almost an entire year, and I just did not watch it. Till finally I looked at the time, and it was like less than an hour and a half. I was like, an hour 20. I'll just
Oh yeah,
watch.
it's as long as rope.
And so I just sat down and watched it, and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what I was getting into at all, but I was surprised, and I thought it was great, and I enjoyed it a lot, and it creeped me out. I don't like it when Satan talks.
We've come to the place where we joke about the idea of the devil. But that is Satan's lie, to distract us from the reality of who he is.
Hey, what's going on?
It's like it flowed through me.
I thought it was interesting. It is very low budget.
Oh yeah, I thought it looked like they just made it on their own.
Yes, I believe that is how it was made.
Yeah, they just made it with their own crap.
It looks like they had some money, but not.
But, I mean,
lot.
you can see the signs if you've been there. Any part where they're at a thing, it's clear. It's like after, like whenever
It's
they go to the
after-
school,
they run-
it's
they
like,
run through the school,
oh, look
it's
at that
after
school, it's
hours.
empty, and there's
Yeah.
a janitor. That's
Yeah.
it. So that opening though is so creepy. Like that got
when
me
he's
hooked.
just playing the guitar.
Yeah,
and-
so like he comes, like the voices come into his head, and then he starts it's that guy's performance. He's the best part of that movie because he's immediately so unsettling.
Yeah.
Like the moment he starts doing stuff, and he just starts playing the music super
and those
loud.
music scenes are fucking awesome. The
And you're like, what is he doing? And he's just like trans. And then she's like, oh man, you gotta stop. And he's like, that's the only way I can get the voices out. I was like, oh, this man. And you're looking at his eyes and they're like jittering. Yeah. And you're just
That
like,
guy's known for that. That actor guy, like he's in Identity also, and he does the same thing. His eyes just shift back and forth, and then he's in a couple other movies where he does it too. He just like that's his thing.
You gotta get that jittery eye, guys. But yeah, in that opening scene, just before he does anything, you're just like, that man should be locked away forever. I don't care what.
And they're like, we're sending you back to the insane asylum, and he's like, no, you're not.
And then he hits her, and I'm like, yep, that man should be. He needs to go to jail.
So the movie starts off. We get established that this man has killed his mom and dad. It seems like that's who the characters we were introduced to are. And now his house, their former house, is left empty and needing to be sold. And we get introduced to the family characters of the movie, the protagonists, who are all weird, disgusting, hippie metalheads who you don't want to talk to. Which I think is the most interesting part of the movie. These were genuinely characters that I don't feel like I've seen in a movie before.
Yeah, you don't see them in movies
especially
very
not
often.
as protagonists. They're usually like the weird side characters. They're like the characters that the main character's like, oh, those people are weirdos. I'm not going to talk to them.
They're in one scene and they're weird.
Yeah, they're in one scene, and so I genuinely felt like, oh, I'm seeing a type of character that I don't see as a protagonist in a movie.
That was a huge thing for me too, because like I feel like. Well, the moment I saw this kid, I'm like, oh, these are our main characters. Like, these are the people we're going to be following. I'm like,
And it felt
this is
natural, too.
unusual. Yeah.
Like usually, I was sitting there when it first started, and I saw the girl was a metalhead, and like all like the little girl and everything. And I was like, this is just gonna be like so like these actors clearly don't know how to portray that. Yeah. You know, but it's totally natural. Like, you totally believe it.
Like you buy it.
And it's
you buy
not
it
annoying. You know, it's not just like we like death music.
I was really worried in the beginning
you?
that it was gonna be like that, like lame and like. The one line that the girl had that really made me worry about it was she was like, I'm gonna go to school and no one's gonna like metal. And I was like, guys, come on. But that it doesn't it skillfully steers away from that. It's not that a lot. Another thing that I really liked about the movie that it set up was that it's something that we like doing when we write scripts is that the characters are artistic in some way. Like the movie is very intertwined with music. The family loves music. The guy is a guitarist.
You almost kind of needed the family needed to kind of be that way for it to make more sense.
The dad is a painter, which I really like. Like that's crux, or that's the plot of the movie, is that he's trying to be a successful painter, but he's sacrificing his
I'm gonna
artistic
make a painting for
integrity.
every bank in town.
He's sacrificing his artistic,
That's another thing that
his
was
family and his soul.
That was another thing that was kind of cheesy to me, is that I get that what they were trying to do was like, all right, he's sacrificing his artistic integrity, he's not painting stuff that he wants to paint, but it's like, I have to paint fucking butterflies, it's not fucking metal enough for me.
I'm gonna make these butterflies into dead children. That'll be awesome.
What's kind of crazy to me is that, like, no matter how you choose to look at the movie in terms of themes and what that character goes through and what it means for art and artists, it all clicks. Like, whatever you want to look at, you could be like, oh well, the devil kind of, you know, moving his hand and stuff is not his artistic part. That's someone else taking over and drawing things he doesn't want to draw. But he wanted to draw more metal stuff.
Yes.
And he did, but that's not what he ended up wanting in the end. So
he's also
your
like,
your artistic passion going all the way unrestrained is not necessarily the best path.
In a Jungian
Not
sense,
himself.
he's kind of getting in touch with his shadow, like he's touching that darker side of him, and he's really getting to know it. You know, then and he ends up, you know, trying to find a middle ground. Yeah, it's all very like, you know,
It's thematically synced.
yeah, it's thematically all there.
He's in a trance.
He's in a trance, and it is one thing I did like about it is being someone that's painted before. Like that is kind of how it is. Like when you're painting something and you really get into it, you do kind of just black out for a little bit. You're just like, your brain stops thinking about things and you just do it, and then afterwards you're like, that was fun. And then it's nighttime and you forgot to pick up your daughter, and she's very angry at you.
That was another thing, like with the movie's whole family dynamic too. Like I was constantly worried about everything.
Yeah.
I was like, he needs to pick up his daughter. That's not good. She's going to be mad at him.
When the art guy shows up, who is possibly the devil in human form.
If you want,
that's my theory.
if you want to, yeah.
Listen, dude, they show the goat a bunch of times, and then the guy shows up and he has a goatee. Which is, the devil has a goatee always. Like, forever. He will always have a goatee if he's
That is
in
his
human
thing.
form. And his secretary lady is definitely a demon.
Yeah, well, she's wearing all red.
She's wearing all red,
lipstick.
and she's way too banging to be a secretary.
And
just
she's-
to be
she
a
al-
random
just to be a
secretary.
It's also shot very creepily. Like the first time he talks
Yeah.
to her, it's like a it's a
yeah,
horror movie.
It's odd.
It's
yeah.
Where she's
somehow
like-
him selling art is the scariest part of the movie thus far.
A lot of good use of wide shots in that movie, too.
Yeah.
Like when he's just getting out of his car and the car is like a mile away and you watch him walking in the middle of the field. Like that just looks really good.
So for being a low budget movie, it did have that one really cool car crash effect. Well, this is like, I almost wish we lived in the middle of the United States, because it just seems like there's so much shit you can get away with there.
Yes.
But like they just, it seems like they just bought an old car for 30 cents, and then they were like, well, what we're gonna do is we want a car crash, so we're just gonna buy this old car and just have the actor crash it or whatever. And they have a cool like, and it crashes into the side of the road.
Yeah, that was.
And it's like they actually did that.
Yeah.
Of course they did, because you know they're fucking making movies in the
Yeah,
middle
they're
of Texas.
trying to make movies too.
It's like Father's Day, where it's like, you know, let's have a car chase, and so they just do it, and they jump in between cars.
Well, dude, one of the first car chases ever put in a movie was completely shot illegally. It's The French Connection.
Right. Yeah.
Well, the first car chase is in Bullet. That was like the first car chase. And then, like, with Steve McQueen and all that. And then The French Connection was, like, the second one or something. And it was before car chases were really a thing. So it was, like, kind of unheard of to be like, hey, we want to shut down all these roads to do a car chase.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is that? What are you talking about? You're not gonna shut down all the roads to shoot cars so that there's people driving around in cars. And so they just did it illegally and crashed a bunch of, like, a lot of the things in that movie are completely real, because they were just like, we're just gonna drive through New York really fast and film it.
William Friedkin is a maniac, dude. Everything in the movie, in its own way, made just the right amount of sense for you to believe everything else that happens. So in the beginning, you're like, okay, he's drowning out because he hears a voice. Okay, parents come in, like he murders them. You're like, okay, I get.
He needs to be put in jail.
It's just, yeah, he needs to be put in jail. And then later you see the family, they move in, and you're like, okay, how could a family like that, if they're so poor, how can they afford a house like that? Like, people died in it, they're selling it for cheap. There's a lot of stuff like that, you're like, okay. Like,
A scene I really liked was the scene where they're buying the house, and the realtor is like, oh yeah, like there's lots of buyers, but I was like, he's lying. Like he's clearly he's getting the sale. Like he's doing a sales tactic where he creates a sense of urgency.
Like, these
and
hippies will listen.
these hippies completely fall for it because they're dummies.
They also
yeah,
want
because
a
they've
house.
never bought a house in their life.
Yeah.
I like that it's only an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah,
I
it
think-
doesn't
I think
waste-
It does not waste your
I
time
don't know
at
how
all.
much it'll stick with me. I was gonna ask you, like, what about it makes it stick with you? Like, I like the movie, but I feel like in a few months from now, I'll be like, that was a good movie. I don't really remember a ton of it. You know what I mean?
I'm like that, and I saw it last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where like I like it, but it's so short and so just like.
I have some negatives, and I want to get into them, and I think the first one's going to be that it doesn't, like the Black Coat's Daughter, because Kevin, you brought that up last week as a...
I would say it's a fair comparison.
The Black Coat's Daughter has shots that stick with me. Like, I think of the girl in the boiler room, and she's doing that, like, creepy little thing, and it's like, that stuck with... Even and like, the Wicker Man, which we talked about last week, there's a lot of imagery that just sticks with you from that movie. And I don't think that the one thing it does have, I will give it, is the painting. The final painting that he does is very creepy.
I love that.
That's a great.
That painting.
That whoever designed that.
But as far as just like shots or imagery, like creepy, spooky imagery, it doesn't. Like even the climax is just kind of like, you know, it's a fine climax, but there's not like a single like, oh, that stuck with me, that shot stuck with me. The painting though, the painting's really good. I want to get into more spoilers slash like, because this is a pretty new movie. I think I'm gonna try to edit spoilers around. So I want to get into spoilers and negatives. So did you like it? Would you recommend it? Does it get the Uncle Mickey seal of approval?
Yeah, I would recommend it. If it's a good spooky movie, like it's not, like I said, I don't know if I'll remember it. It's like it won't stick with me. I don't know if it will. You know, but like, it's just like a fun time.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna creep you out. It's got a little creepiness for everybody, you know. Well, any movie where like kids get murdered, it's pretty much gonna creep you out.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't like it in movies when Satan talks to it. It's not okay.
That is a.
It is
Every
creepy
time
when
it's in a movie,
Satan
it's not
shows up.
okay.
Kevin, I'm gonna guess that you obviously recommend it.
I
recommend
recommend it. Yeah. I would say if you don't have faith in modern horror, you're like, oh, every horror movie this decade sucks ass.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you're just not looking.
There are a lot of good, like people have been shitting on this decade, but we've had a
Horror's
lot.
on the upswing, dude.
Well,
It
independent
is.
small horror
Yes.
is great right now.
That's the thing. Like that's what's popular right now.
Yeah.
Is the independent.
We got the
also,
big.
everybody was pooping their pants over Hereditary. Dude.
Well, and
Everybody thought
I
Hereditary
would
was
even say
greatest
the
movie of
big
all
stuff
time.
is still like The Conjuring. We like to shit on it and like make fun of the fact that it's an action movie, but they're still well made and they have good scary moments.
Bagul scares.
Bagul
It's just
comes
its little spin-offs, dude, like Annabelle.
Annabelle. Well, Annabelle Creation, I stand by. That's a decent movie, but it's just got some spooky. David F. Sandberg, I would actually say it's his strongest movie that I've seen him do. I think Lights Out has a better concept, but it's not executed as well as Annabelle Creation.
And you guys said Annabelle
sounds so
3 came
fun.
out this year. Right?
Came out-
I showed
It came
you the
out like
Blu-ray
the
when we went to
same-
Target.
I said last week, you know, if you're looking for a spooky movie with your girlfriend and you just watched Annabelle 3, like, you know, I said that last week. I'm gonna say something along those lines. If you didn't like Annabelle 3 because it's bad, but you also are easily bored and you just want like a spooky movie, this is a good one. This is a good.
It's an hour and 20 minutes. It doesn't have any slow moments.
Watch it with your significant other. It's a fun time at the movie. Or it's a fun time on the couch. It's just a good independent horror film that, you know, it's well made. There's some good, like, there's actual horrific moments in it. It's scary.
Catch it on Netflix.
Catch it on Amazon Prime. You have to pay $3.99. For being a low-budget movie, I think its budget actually holds it back on a few points. Particularly, you have to be invested in that ending for it. Like, the fire effects really took me back because I was like, this is fake digital After Effects fire.
It's kind of hard to grasp what's even on fire in the scene.
Well, it's hard to grasp what's on fire, and also just the choreography of that scene is very hard to follow. The whole time I was like, they would be dead. Like, if the whole room's on fire like that, they would be suffocating of smoke from smoke. They should all be dead right
They'd
now.
at least be getting like burned.
So
like,
you-
they wouldn't be on fire, but they'd be
Yeah,
getting burns.
so that like the actual climax of the movie, you have to just like, all suspension of disbelief is kind of thrown out. At least for me it was, because I was like, this is not realistic at all.
I like when the creepy guy gets burned up though.
Yeah,
because he
that-
just keeps walking towards her, and you're like, he does not care that he's on fire.
He does not care. That does not bother him.
I had a similar thing with the ending that like kind of I had to suspend my disbelief where I'm like kind of like rolling my eyes. It wasn't necessarily the fire. I guess
what
I
was
have to
it for
swallow
you?
this one. It was the cops.
I really feel bad for that little girl. Yeah. It's gonna be a long time before she sleeps through the night.
So they don't show it, but both cops get indisposed by this dude. The first one gets hit by the car, and she's freaking out.
Well, she's in between the two cars.
Yeah, like she's like trapped in between the two cars. So you're like, okay, like she's pretty much out. I mean, she could get her gun, but like whatever.
Yeah.
She's been hit by a car. She's not thinking about that.
Her entire lower body's crushed.
Her entire lower body's like, she's in half.
Yeah.
And then the other guy's just on the floor and his gun's a mile away. And I'm like, what did you do?
Yeah.
You're the worst cop of all time. Like
Well,
somehow.
I think he was also hit by the car because they were both standing in between the cars.
What happened to his gun?
I think he just got knocked over and it flew over.
Out of his holster?
I don't know, dude.
That's the thing, dude. I was
He was
like,
probably just holding it around.
I was sitting there and I saw him like they set it up like you're like, oh, there's a crash and they're screaming and you're like, what did he do? And then you see what he did and then you're like, okay, there was 2 cops though.
Yeah.
And then the other cop's just on the floor and I'm like, okay, he can just pull out his gat though.
But no, it's.
And then
it
it's
flew
like
a
way
mile
over there.
away.
I'm like, how did his gat get there? Was he just like playing with his gun? And he was like, dude, babe, have you seen my gun?
seen
It's
my
like,
new
it's
gat?
not that cool. I have a gun too. And then he
No, but my
flies out of his
you don't
hand.
know, dude. It doesn't show you.
I know exactly. That's the thing. That's why I had to come with that scenario in my head. I'm like, I guess he was just playing with his gun. They should have just taken that second cop out, dude. That's all I'm saying. Like before when that one lady cop was there, she's like, I'll watch your house. Before, like in the other scene, she's like, I'll watch your house. And it's like, okay, one cop's there to watch the house. They could just do the same thing there, where it's like, yeah, no, we got a cop there, it's the same cop, and then she gets hit by the car. I was looking at the cop and I was like, you're a buffoon. How the heck did your gun get over there?
There are also some lines of dialogue that I was a little like, that wasn't the best line of dialogue.
It's just like every low budget movie.
Yeah,
Dude. Every
yeah.
low budget movie's gonna have some dialogue hangups.
Honestly, I was shocked at how good the acting was through and through. Like,
Yeah.
Even from the kid.
the kids,
Yeah,
the
the
kids
kid was great.
She has a few of the cringy lines in the beginning, so I didn't think she would be great, but
yeah,
she
she's
ends
good.
up rocking it.
That also, not that this guy can take this advice anymore because he's been burned alive, but like you shouldn't use duct tape when you're tying up the kid because like clearly the duct tape didn't work. She spun out of it.
Maybe I'm just like overthinking this and I missed the message completely. That's possible, but so they set up the fact like the kid killer guy, the possessed dude in the beginning. The entire movie on the TV, he's watching this like Christian program, like he's watching this like Christian, we're going to talk about Satanism type program. And one thing that that movie's or the show that he's watching specifically says is like, oh, Satan, he doesn't come in like. He's never what you think he's going to be. He's not like this red wearing devil mustache twirling evil man. And then it cuts back to him. He's wearing red. He's basically a mustache twirling villain. And I was like, are you guys trying? Like what? I'm a little confused as to what you're saying. And even if the art guy is the devil, he's still like, he's got the goatee and he's still.
Oh yeah,
like,
that guy is clearly the devil.
and so I'm like, well, I wish if the movie's gonna set something like that up, I almost wish that they would cut out the real devil stuff. Like if you're gonna have in your movie say something like, oh, evil is not something that's easily categorized as this. And like it's the devil's candy and the candy's children, then I wish it was like this really dark, like True Detective level, like it is just these people that rape and murder children. Like it's just
a
that.
guy that is
It's
unwell.
just that he's unhinged and there's no devil at all. Because if that's what you're gonna say, then that is the more horrific thing to me. If you're gonna, if you're gonna have the devil in it, it's fine. Like I'm completely fine with the Satanist stuff. I love Satanist cults and movies.
long as he doesn't talk.
I might read into it too much, but the way I interpreted what the movie was saying was that whether there's a god or angels or whatever, that any sort of like larger than life thing, whether that's true or not, there is a devil. There's evil, whether it's an actual being, there is something that possesses people. And it's like maybe throughout all of history we've kind of as a race, not because we can't figure it out, we were just like, it's this evil creature, it's the devil, it's this thing. But it's like there is something about humans, there's something in not necessarily everybody, but there's just some people that get that, and like that is the devil and we can't explain it, kind of thing, where it's like the best way we can put it is that there's some evil thing, some evil presence that's taking people and making them do horrible things. And well, okay, what is that? Why are people like that? Well, it's the devil. I think that's what they were trying to go for, is like, but then the devil does show up. Like for me, it's like that guy shows up and I liked that scene because he's sitting there and he's like all creepy and like you want him to stay there and like get the
and he does
money.
the classic devil thing where he's testing your
he's like
your morality.
He's like, yeah, I mean, do you
Do you want
He's
money
like,
or do you want
there's
your
always
family?
sacrifice,
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh, okay, shoot. He's like, I'm
He's
either pulling
Satan.
out now, or you stay here and your daughter stays
Yeah.
at school, and you betray her trust.
Yeah.
And then and
He
I was like,
he
that's a
chooses-
cool.
he
It was a
chooses-
cool moral dilemma because it's like the physical dilemma there is like you stay here and make money, or you do that, but it's also like you sell your soul to the devil, and like you make these paintings, or you do the right thing. It's like it's understated with that.
Another small complaint I had was the first painting he does, because he's like, I'm gonna do this painting, he gets demonic inspiration or whatever, and so it's like, oh wow, it's probably gonna be super good, like he's gonna do something crazy, and it's just an upside down cross, and I was like,
But spooky, dude.
it's spooky.
in fog.
You're right. And it's made up
in
for by
fog.
it's made up for by the fact that the second painting is the scariest,
Yes.
craziest painting ever made.
Something that I think a lot of movies nowadays, sometimes even independent movies too, like I just think it's a common thing nowadays, is that people forget to have their main characters have an active role in the story. And the fact that main character man has, like I said, the moral dilemma where he has to make that choice. Like every time a character makes a choice, it should propel the plot in some way.
Yes.
And the main character should have a choice, and he should have control, at least some control over the direction that the story will go. And I you feel more invested in it when that
We're
happens.
looking at
So
you, Ari Esther, you piece of shit.
Don't just poop on us at the end of the movie. Don't make me think that your movie's super smart and then poop on me at the end.
Another interpretation of like why they would have the whole, oh, the devil might not, it won't always be in this obvious form.
Yeah.
I think another way of looking at that is because the dad is someone that the family loves and they trust and they look up to, and yet his hand is being moved by the devil to do those paintings and stuff. And so I think there is an obvious threat, literally guys dressed in red, guys acting and singing like the devil, but that's not just the devil. The devil isn't just
The devil
that.
is also-
It can also be someone you know and love and trust. So,
Yeah, I guess
so,
that's
so it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
I was very sleepy watching this movie because it was late at night and I worked like 13 hours. So I was watching it and the ending comes around and my brain just did not have the energy to interpret the very ending. When he
when
he gets
he's-
possessed and goes towards and finds the
He
grave,
finds all the children.
and then he looks up. I was like, I'm sure that means something. I'm gonna go to sleep. And I never figured it out. So it's gonna bring up like what did you guys interpret from
The gist is that by the end he was hearing the voices and you thought, oh no, it's bad again, like it's Satan. Satan doesn't go away. But then you realize it's not.
It's the kids.
It's like it's actually the kids that are calling out to him, and that's why you realize that's why he was painting all the kids. Wasn't because these kids are being like these kids need to be found, or the world needs to know. And then at
him
the end,
finding them is him like releasing their souls.
Okay.
yeah.
I thought it was something like that, but I was like, wait, is he the devil? Wait, hold on. I'm going to sleep.
No. That's why it's all light at the end, and also metaphorically, this is I've actually, when I was on IMDb, I saw this as a common criticism, is that the ending's a little heavy-handed because he saves their soul, and he looks like Jesus. Apparently, him looking like Jesus.
yeah.
Him
That
looking
makes
like
sense.
Jesus was an intentional thing done by the director, and it is because of that ending.
I'm like, well, to be fair, a lot of metalheads look like Jesus. I mean,
You say treat everyone like the way you want to be treated. You didn't do that.
that is true.
It's like-
Well, he does also look like a
Jesus
metal.
was a metalhead.
One thing I liked about the movie is that the cinematography, especially when he's painting and he's all shirtless and he has all the tattoos, like it looks really cool.
Oh yeah,
like
it looks sweet. Go see it. Don't trust. Where'd they move?
Texas.
They moved to Texas.
Well, they were in Texas, and I think they just moved to a
like
different
just
part
a
of
rural.
Texas.
Don't trust the police system in rural Texas. Why even have the GAT?
Yeah, last week we learned that
I'm like annoyed at that cop. I was like, what is your problem, dude?
Last week we learned that England should have GATs. This week we learned that even in America, when we have GATs, sometimes they're useless because our cops are morons.
Yes,
That is what we keep learning on
we
Spooky
keep
of the
learning
Week is
different
that
gun
cops.
control stuff. What do we learn from Day of the Dead?
We
The
learned
zombie
You can only
is
trust the
even
zombie
more
with a gun.
powerful with a gun.
With a gun.
So we learned first
That
guns will make you more powerful, and then we learn again in The Wicker Man that you need a gun
Yes.
to survive.
and
then we learn a twist. Even if you have a gun, you could be a moron and get hit by a car.
you can't just have a gun. You also have to have a brain.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
Well, no, the zombie did have a brain, so he was learning. He was like,
that's
he was
true.
remembering
That
things.
zombie is smarter than those cops.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, dude. I just want that deleted scene where he's just like, dude, check out my gun.
It would be great if you could just watch this review but still not know anything about it
Or-
and go see it,
yeah.
because a lot of people don't know about it. But just check it out. Just fine. It's a really fun little horror
I hope
movie.
that this is going to be another one of the Uncle Mickey sleeper hits that gets 1,000 views.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it will do, because there's not a whole lot of like
Videos on it.
there's not enough.
That is where Spooky of the Week thrives, dude. But yeah, final thoughts. It's a fun movie. It's a good, it's a good Spooky of the Week. It's a good horror movie. If you're looking for something that you've never heard of, go ahead and go freaking see it.